Welcome to our third episode of the Football Lab with me, Peter, Chris, James, and our special guest, our first guest, Elias. We are going to be talking about Carabao Cup Final, Premier League, and our team of the week, Leeds United. We'll also touch on the European Super League and, of course, the upcoming Champions League semi-final. All right, guys, let's start with the Carabao Cup. Manchester City won against Tottenham Hotspur. What can you tell me about it, Christian?
It was a good game. It wasn't bad. I think Man City played a better, definitely. They had a lot of good chances through Mahrez and Phil Foden. So it was a good game by Man City. I think they deserve to win. It's their fourth consecutive win in the League Cup, which is, I think, a record now. They've won it 8 times in total, so it's really impressive. I think it's a testament to their strength in depth that they've done that. What did you guys think, James and Pete and Elias?
Yeah, well, it was a hard game for Spurs as they just sacked Jose Mourinho in the worst moment they could, and they replaced him with a young manager, Ryan Mount, who's not that experienced, only had managed the team in 2 games, and he had to face against a great manager, which is Pep Guardiola. So wasn't really a big chance. I think they lost that game mentally before the game even started. What do you think, Elias and James?
Well, me personally, I actually didn't get a chance to watch the game, but playing Man City, they're always going to be one of the tough teams in England. And I guess Tottenham, like I said, they had recently sacked Jose Mourinho. They replaced him with a young coach who didn't have that much experience. So I mean, I would have to give the advantage just there to Man City without even having to watch the game.
What were you, James?
Yeah.
Well, I think it was always a massive ask for Tottenham to win. If you sack Mourinho 6 days before, and he's your best chance of winning a cup final, it was always going to be a massive ask. But they kept them out for 82 minutes, so it wasn't too bad. But to be honest, I think Man City deserved to win it.
Yeah, it's not bad yet, but I agree. Sacking Mourinho, he wasn't doing too well. That's obvious, but I think it was not a good decision sacking him on Monday. And they said it wasn't linked to the Super League. Who knows if that's true or not. Perhaps that was a sort of screen for it all, and they thought if that's the big story, Super League, then they can get away with not having much sort of publicity with Mourinho leaving. So maybe that was why he was sacked at the time. Laws, I don't know, but I definitely agree that Ryan Mason, who's not had a managerial job in his life ever, he's only 29. His second game being Liga final. It's really not. It's not a good start. It's very much in the deep end. So I think that was a bad sort of move. But there was fans back in as well, which is great to see. It's the first time I think in a year that they've had fans at Wembley, which is great. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, this is a 9th trophy for Pep Guardiola with City, and if he can win Premier League, which probably will with City this year, it will be his 10th. So City are miles light year away from most of the teams right now in the Premier League, and with the manager, the Spurs manager, you can see his immaturity when he took off Højbjerg for Dele Alli, and Dele Alli is not even in form because he didn't even play for much again when Jose Mourinho was the manager. Yeah, James, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's difficult. Yeah, James, what do you think?
Oh, sorry. Chris, I think there's something wrong with your internet connection.
Yeah, there's something going to connections.
Yeah, so I think the sooner Tottenham can get someone through the door, the better, because Ryan Mason is pretty inexperienced. But the main concern is trying to keep Son and keep Harry Kane, because if they lose them, then the fan base is really going to turn against them. And I think the other important thing is these fan protests about getting Levy out, because that guy, Sat Pochettino, he's the one who's caused this whole mess. I don't think he's fit to run the club.
Should we move on to the Premier League then and start off with our team of the week, which is Leeds United? and we can comment on the first game, the last game Leeds United play against Manchester United. A bit of a boring game, goalless. What do you think, James, about that game?
Wolves Burnley.
No, Leeds United, Man United.
Oh, Leeds. Sorry, yeah. Well, I think Leeds have done really well actually. Like considering they've just got promoted and they're now 9th, and they used to be a big team in English football. I think in 2002 they got to the Champions League semi-finals, so they used to be a really big side. And for them to, I think at home they're unbeaten against the top 6, 5 draws. Actually, no, they beat Man City 2-1 a couple of weeks ago, but they've still got a match to play. I think it's against Spurs, so they've done really well since getting promoted.
Yeah. They did with Manchester United. They improved because last time they went to Old Trafford, they lost 6-2, and now they hosted them at Ellen Road, and it was a different story. And Leeds played 3 hard games in a row. It was City, Liverpool, and United. They won against City and they drew against United and Liverpool. So big shout out to them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys can hear me or not. My connection's a bit rubbish, but anyway. Yeah, I think Leeds have be lucky to get top half this season. They've had a good start at their sort of first year back in the top flight. There's always sort of thing we see. We saw that with Sheffield United last season, where their first season is always really good, and after that, they tend to sort of drop off. So, doing really well in their first season, but it'll be interesting to see what happens sort of next season. And that sort of moves along and things change. But I guess with fans back in Ellen Road as well, that's a fortress for them, and it's a dangerous place for any team to go. It can be really hard to win games there. So it'd be interesting to see, but definitely a lot of their squad has been maintained since they're in Championship has really sort of stood in good stead, I think.
Yeah, it's a funny fact that Leeds United are now higher up in the league than Arsenal are. It's funny. Elias, do you follow a bit of Leeds United?
I actually don't, unfortunately, but that's actually a pretty interesting fact because I remember Arsenal a couple years back, they used to be really good, and now they're sort of on this steady decline, down playing, like kind of like what's going on in England. So that's actually pretty surprising to me, but no, I haven't actually been following Leeds, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, Leeds United have made, well, when they appointed Marcelo Bielsa, I think it was 2017, and they win the championship. And you can see if you appoint a great manager, you can have a good relationship with the developing club. And that's what happened with Leeds. After, I think his second or third season, he won the championship, got promoted to the Premier League, and now he's, well, 9th at the moment, and probably the games that they have are not that tough. So they maybe even can climb up to Europa League. What do you think, James?
Yeah, they're definitely a surprise package, but I'm not too surprised because they've got a good squad. They've got Patrick Bamford, who's knocking on the door to play for England. Calvin Phillips in central midfield. Marcelo Bielsa's a very good coach. He was really good at Atletico Bilbao. So I knew of him, and I thought for a while, I think he might have coached in Argentina as well. So I knew that he was a good coach, and yeah, it's not surprising that he's done well there.
Mm-hmm.
But can they avoid? Go on, Chris.
Well, I was going to say I saw them play at Hillsborough, not last season, the season before. So not the season they went up, but the season before that. And the Leeds fans, I've got to say, it's like it's intimidating playing Leeds because their fans are so sort of they've got a reputation that not a lot of people like Leeds from other clubs, but even with that in mind, their fans are intimidating, scary, and they can be a dangerous team to play. So when they're in Championship, I think, yeah, they're a really good side, and they were scary teams to go to. I'm not sure if the Europa League is achievable for them. I think they're 9th or 10th in the table now. I feel like it's a bit of a jump to sort of take on teams like Liverpool or West Ham, who are sitting in those sorts of 4th, 5th, 6th spots now. Or with Man City having won a League Cup, obviously that means that seventh place also get in the League Cups. Those spots also kind of they start to come down. So it'd be interesting. Well, I think a top half sort of result would be a great finish for Leeds, nonetheless, I'm sure.
Yes, I like an underdog story. So I like when the team get promoted and they kind of do well. Something like Sheffield United did last season. They went up and they finished mid-table, but they couldn't avoid the second season syndrome, which they struggled a lot this year. Do any of you guys think that Leeds United will follow a similar example, or can they defend themselves well?
I think with Sheffield United, they're almost. I mean, it's almost like an extreme example of second season syndrome. I mean, it's a common thing we often talk about that teams come up and they do well, and the following season go down. But I think Leeds will be immune from that. I think that it's more likely that we'll see them stay up next season, but I think they'll not do as well as this season. So sort of lower mid-table, 13th, 14th, or 15th, I think is more likely for Leeds next season. But I suppose on sort of coming up and bouncing back down, now seeing that Norwich and Watford are both coming up, I suppose that it'd be a difficult season next season. A lot of good teams are coming up Championship into the Prem, so they have a tough fight on their hands to stay up with a lot of teams who are going to be there. And with Sheffield United and Fulham effectively down now, that's two teams who, with respect to them, have not really posed a challenge to other teams this season, are not going to be in the mix. So it'll be a tough season next season, I think, for all the teams who are sort of battling lower table or relegation spots.
Yeah, I think Chris made a really. Oh, I was just checking I wasn't muted. Yeah, I think he makes a really good point. I think their surprise package at the moment, so no one knows what to expect from them, but then next season people may have sussed them out, and there's that expectation as well. So if they do come 8th or 9th, people will expect them to do that again. So yeah, I think they might be sucked into a relegation battle next year, but I do think that they'll be okay if they can keep Marcelo Bielsa and keep Patrick Bamford, keep Calvin Phillips, keep the best players, and actually strengthen as well. If they could get someone like Cavani or Aguero, think how good they could be.
Nah, I don't think they will though. But they have been good, improving defensively. They started the season very poorly. They were losing so much goals, and now they definitely tighten up the defense. But anyway, moving on maybe from Leeds United now.
Oh, not Philippe. Pete, I was going to say that they, on the first day of the season, they gave Liverpool a run for their money.
Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah.
That was a great game.
Yeah, that was a great game. And many of these games are actually very interesting. But moving now on from Leeds United, our team of the week, to I think Elias was talking about Arsenal before. So Arsenal versus Everton, 0-1 for Everton. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think Everton played well, deserved to win, I'd say. And decent chances from Richarlison in the first half, and could have easily scored. And then another goal from Sigurdsson in the first half, where again they could have easily scored. It was a great free kick, I think, went over the bar. But yeah, they're much the better side. Arsenal had a penalty originally awarded in the first half, but then it was ruled out for offside. I thought that was fair because Danny Ceballos, I think, he dived, in my opinion. So in not being a penalty was right, if you ask me. Arteta didn't seem to agree in his post-match interview, but that's the way it is. But Arsenal just didn't really create enough chances, and Everton, I think, deserved to win.
It was a very bad mistake from Bernd Leno that cost Gunners the game, because if you see the game, he didn't catch the ball. It went through his hands, which was surprising because he's known to be a good keeper, especially for Arsenal, saving them from time to time. And that's another loss for the Gunners. They won 13 games and they lost 13 games as well. They're in the 10th place and they have one more game played than Aston Villa, which is 11. They can really go down. Well, they're not going to go down, but they are regressing each season. They are regressing. And can Mikel Arteta survive as Arsenal manager till the end of the season? What do you think, James?
Ooh. Yeah, I think they'll give him time because it's not. He did good work at Manchester City with Pep, and it's probably not his squad. It's not his team yet. So I think he'll be given more time. Next season will be the acid test.
Mm-hmm.
Elias?
Yeah, I think. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
I was going to say Elias. Like, I think he was. I think Pete originally asked Elias. So Elias, what do you think? Like, sorry, we butted in.
I mean, to be 13 is quite surprising for me. But like you said, James, maybe the lineup is not really his. Maybe next year will be really that year. He'll have to prove himself in that year, and we'll see what happens next year.
Yeah, Everton as well. Carlo Ancelotti took the team, and he's really made an impact. Everton, I think, had clear chances in that game. Arsenal only really had one occasion from Martinelli at the end of the game, where Jordan Pickford made an amazing save to secure 3 points for the Toffees. I think Everton is 8th now, and they are pushing for the Europa League. Only 2 points away from Liverpool, and only 3 points away from 5th West Ham. What do you think, Chris, about that?
Yeah, I think Everton started the season so well in the first sort of, 10 games or so. But they've not tailed off like a lot of people said they would. Ancelotti has made a good sort of, has done really well there. So, then Leno, it was really poor. And even though it was a great move, sort of make the goal, still, you should be saving that. And it's just gone under its legs, basically, which is not for like professional goalkeeper. You shouldn't be doing that. So, yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe we should move on to Wolves and Burnley.
Can I ask Elias something?
Oh yeah,
Arsenal.
Yeah, go on.
So, Elias, do you think that Arsenal will improve next year, or do you think they're going to be exiled from the Champions League for indefinitely?
Like I said, they've been going on that downward spiral. So I mean, unless some dramatic change in the offseason, maybe they get a better players in their system, then they might continue on this downward trend. Or if they're able to improve their team, maybe they might make it back up. It's hard to find out what's going to happen.
James, I think I'm going to let you start off this game because you were excited about it. Wolves versus Burnley.
Well, what can I say? Hat trick from Chris Wood, not Chris Brooks, but Chris Wood, and I mean, big upset actually, considering it was at Molineux, and Wolves. A few seasons ago, new team, very similar trajectory to what we're seeing from Leeds at the moment. So Wolves have punched above their weight, knocked on the door for the top 4. Nuno Espirito Santo is interested Chelsea. He's kind of interesting Spurs at the moment. He's done a fantastic job there. Developed Diego Jota, who's gone to Liverpool. Jota, trips me up every time. And Pedro Neto, he's developed some fantastic players. Jimenez as well, Raul Jimenez. And I mean, I was shocked that Burnley won, but it does mean that Burnley have got another season in the top flight now. So good work from Sean Dyche.
Yeah, which is amazing because if you see at the Burnley's budget is really small. It's one of the smallest in the Premier League, and they have been staying consistently in the Premier League for a couple of seasons now, which is another fair play. But in that game, Wolves were looking so apathetic. The defense was terrible. They let Burnley's strikers just plow through them in the penalty area. So if you allow your opponents to just do that, then what else do you expect?
Yeah, I think Wolves played awfully, really. There was no sort of motivation there, and they really just needed a goal, I think, to sort of G them up, and it just never came. But I think all the goals by Chris Wood, he got a hat-trick. That was excellent. And they're really well worked. And Ashley Westwood's goal from about 20 yards out was a great strike as well. So in Burnley, we were really proud of what they did. And there was a sending off as well where Jack Cork, I think, got sent off, and it was a it was effectively he kicked the ball too hard, and he's followed through and taken the player on the leg, but kicking the ball too hard, is that now sending off offence? It seems awful, really, that's happened. And I hope it gets rescinded in terms of the sort of match ban. But I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, it wasn't a sending off in my view.
We're going, James.
I was going to say, should we move on to the West Ham Chelsea game? That's what I was going to say. But you're in charge of that, Pete.
Yeah, of course we should move on to that game. And maybe, Elias, you know a bit about Chelsea, maybe, because you've been following the Champions League. What can you tell us about Chelsea's form, maybe?
Well, Chelsea, they got off to a very, very, very slow start with Frank Lampard, and then he got sacked. They brought in Thomas Tuchel, who was coaching at PSG, and then PSG sacked him, so then he went to Chelsea. And actually, I think it's a move that's paid off for Chelsea, because if you look at the results, they've been steadily improving since he actually took over the ranks. They do have some dangerous players like Christian Pulisic, who's a very dangerous striker. They do have a pretty solid lineup, and it's a team that continues to make the Champions League year after year. It's very hard to see them, not finishing outside the top 6.
Yeah, I think I agree with you here. Thomas Tuchel absolutely made great changes, and he started to unlock players like Timo Werner, unlock his potential. But that said, West Ham, a bit disappointing though. That was a crucial game for them, because that loss means that Chelsea now took over the 4th place from them, and it doesn't look like West Ham can catch up to the Champions League position with now 3 points off of the Champions League positions. What do you think, Chris?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if Thomas Tuchel doesn't make the Champions League next year, it'll be seen as a mistake and a loss. It'll be seen as bad if he doesn't make it in. That'll be the expectation, and the reason they've sacked Frank Lampard is that we won't get in Champions League. Abramovich is clearly a pretty ruthless owner, and if managers aren't performing top level, he'll get rid. He can say anything. So I think if he doesn't make it into the top 4, it'll be under the cosh. But I'll have to see. I guess West Ham were a good side, and both sides had good chances in this game. I think it was handball by Azpilicueta where with potentially penalty. I don't think it was a handball. He's hit him on his body, and his arm is sort of in his body. So there's not really much you can say about that. But yeah, Chelsea had a lot of chances, especially in the second half, and deserved to win, I think. So yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah, West Ham are now only 1 point clear from Liverpool, which Liverpool are stepping on the toes. And West Ham have been inconsistent. They have been scoring a lot of goals, but then they've been losing the focus and conceding at the end of the game. With Chelsea, I didn't think they had any chance, to be fair. Chelsea were all over them, and Chelsea's defense is right now top notch. Mm-hmm. You can see that they are actually motivated from the Champions League success right now. They're in a semi-final, so yeah, there wasn't too much chance for West Ham.
With the defence, I mentioned him last week, but Ben Chilwell, I think he's impressed me so much actually going forward. When he's a left back and he's playing in defence, but he's created a lot of chances and a lot of goals last week as well. From the left wing and bringing it down the wing and passing it into the middle. He's really done well for them, so you can be really sort of proud of him. So I agree that their defence is really sort of going places, and as Azpilicueta as well is part of that, I guess, too. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, Elias, how badly do you feel Liverpool are playing at the moment, the last 2 games?
Well, I did watch those 2 games in Champions League. The game in Madrid, the first half, they were invisible. 0 shots on target, 0 chances. Just Madrid dominated them. And then they got themselves too much in a hole that they just couldn't recover. And actually, funny enough, the second game, Real Madrid did something. I've been watching Madrid since I was 8 years old, and they did something that I've never seen them do. They literally sat back and they just let Liverpool attack, and they said, we're just gonna close the defensive part. We're just gonna let them come, defense, wait for the counter, which is something you would never see Zidane do, which is I found pretty surprising.
And Elias, didn't you interview Zidane and Jurgen Klopp? Because I heard you, Elias Laradi, has asked Jurgen Klopp a question. You did, didn't you?
Jurgen Klopp. Zidane only speaks in Spanish and
Oh,
French.
so Jurgen.
I did speak to Jurgen. Basically I said, what do you have to do to beat Real Madrid? He said, basically, to beat Real Madrid, you have to defend them well. They have a very good attack, and they're a very hard team to break down defensively. So that's what he told me. Spanish media is a little bit different. You literally have to request your question before the press conference, and then if they have time to give it to you, otherwise they usually give it to like the people that they know in the Spanish media, and then they literally have like one French question at the end. And, that's basically how they work. English, it's more accessible, I find. So that's basically how I work.
Wait, so were you guaranteed to speak, to ask a question?
Well, I always would make requests, but I would always get denied. But English, let's say like against Klopp, against today with Pulisic, I basically raised my hand in the Zoom chat and they called my name. So.
Ooh,
it's amazing. I thought we got a celebrity on the pod. Somebody who's spoken to Pulisic, Jurgen Klopp. I feel like we need to bow down to you or something.
I also have to add Diego Jota, actually.
Oh, even better. Diego Jota. That's great. I do feel that. Amazing. But Liverpool, yeah, I feel like European goals really their only chance to get silverware, and now in the league, it's not looking too good. Down to 6th, I think, and didn't do very well against Newcastle. It was a draw in the end, so yeah.
Underwhelming.
Sorry?
Mo Salah to me has been underwhelming for me. What do you guys think?
I think Salah was all right. I think Sadio Mane. I think I'm kind of disappointed in Sadio Mane.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Salah. I feel like when he first sort of came to the club, and did his first few seasons, he was really the star. I felt like he was really up there. He scored, I think, 20 goals this season, which is not so bad, but still, you don't really hear about the sort of front three as much as you used to. And they're not bringing in as many goals as they need to. And that's a dry patch Liverpool had in January, where their form was really awful. It's partly because they weren't scoring goals. So, yeah, all the front three, I think, are to blame for that.
Have you guys seen that thing where those fans are bowing down to Mo Salah?
That's what we need to
bow down to Elias.
Quite good.
The king.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of Mo Salah, I remember that 2018 Champions League final. I feel like he was their talisman, and I remember that game. 20 minutes in, he got injured, and the second that he left the game, just everything went.
Yeah. The one in Kiev.
Yeah, the one in Kiev. Where the goalie, I forgot his name. The goalie where
Karius. Yeah.
And he made two massive mistakes.
That was awful game for the guy.
Marco Asensio used to take the mickey out of Karius and go, "Yo, Karius!"
Karius can't carry, I guess.
Is he still playing, or has he retired?
No, I think he plays in Turkey. Beşiktaş.
Fenerbahce or something. Yeah, Beşiktaş.
Yeah, not Liverpool anymore. I think that was his last game.
Yeah, that was his
last game was he did the same thing against Chester. He messed up against Chester. Klopp defended him and then thought, right, that's the final straw. You've committed boo-boos against Chester and Tranmere. You're out.
Oh my God.
So then they got Alisson that summer.
Yeah,
we had to quickly find someone who can do the job. Anyway, I think we should slowly move on to the European Super League.
Did you want to discuss the standings quickly, or?
I think we covered most of it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Manchester United are now 10 points off from City, and I don't see them really coming, threatening them in any sort. And relegation, I think Sheffield, West Brom, and Fulham probably going to go down.
Yeah.
And I don't even.
Sheffield United, you should say. There's two teams in Sheffield, please. Don't forget that.
Yeah, because we've got. By the way, Elias, just to give you a backstory. Chris used to work at Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday, both as a steward.
I did.
And he has Brighton, who are just hovering above the relegation zone. Chris is a Brighton fan and he supports Liverpool, but he's a Brighton season ticket holder. Or was Brighton?
I don't have a season ticket now.
Oh, but he was a Brighton. You went to matches,
Yeah.
didn't you?
I have been to matches, yeah. I was born there, so yeah, that's good.
But I think Brighton will stay up though. Yeah, I think Fulham.
I think so.
It's too late for Fulham anyway, and I think they have a tough game coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I think how long has Brighton been promoted? It's been like a couple of years now, like
4 years, I think.
In 2017, we went up. So it's like 4 years now.
I remember because I was actually in broadcasting school in Toronto, and I remember one of the games I had to edit. It was like Brighton playing against oh my god, I think it was like either Chelsea or Arsenal. I remember they were playing Brighton.
Right.
I'd never seen them before, and I'm like, wait, who is this team coming out of nowhere?
Yeah, we used to be rubbish. We used to be. I remember them being in League One, which is the third tier of English football. Then teams like Wigan and Peterborough were promoted. I guess Wigan on last of the season, then Championship for a long time. And in the 90s, we were in League Two, almost going down to the fifth tier. So it's a real success to be in.
Yeah, really?
It is very nice. I like it. I said before, I like the underdog story. But Brighton are going closer every season to the relegation zone. So hopefully they can.
Sadly.
Hopefully they can do something, bring some improvements before the next season, so they can be a bit better.
Yeah. But I was brought up as a child in Brighton, so I hope they do well.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. I think that sums up our Premier League kind of thing. Before we move on to Champions League, maybe you should talk about the European Super League that luckily have been dismissed.
Yeah, so I actually followed this from the beginning to the end. So day one, they said 12 teams are joining. They wanted 15 teams, and then they were going to 15 teams that could not be relegated no matter what happened. And then they were going to rotate 5 teams apparently to make it 20. And then all of a sudden, the UEFA heard about this, and then Sefrin had his famous press conference. Oh, don't worry, we already spoke with the 6 governing bodies. Any player who plays, they're not going to play World Cup. They're not going to play Euro Cup. They're going to be sanctioned, this and that. And actually, there was even a rumor that the Spanish media were talking about, apparently, that because of what happened with the Super League, that the refs might, not be on the side of the teams that were in the Super League. And they were actually, both Zidane and Tuchel were asked today, do you think maybe there might be a controversy where the ref does not show 100%, unbiased because of what happened? And both of them are listen, whoever the UEFA sends, they're 100% referees. They're going to do their job. They're not going to, make stuff up because of a controversy. So I found that actually really interesting. Also, breaking news: Italy today, they added a clause in their league where now anyone who breaks away from Italy to go join this Super League in the future will not be able to play in its domestic league. It's actually, they put it in the contract as of today. And yeah, and Sefrin said we're gonna crack down. We're gonna make sure it doesn't happen. It's disrespect. It's greed. But on one hand, I agree, and on the other hand, the way I see it is that what I understood is that the teams suffered a lot during the pandemic. They were losing a lot of money, especially in Italy. And they felt that UEFA didn't really have their back 100%. So UEFA is calling this greed, but the fact is that they lost so much money, they had to branch out and find other ways to recover those finances. And that's when this idea came up, hey, let's do a league. We're going to control our own money. It won't be UEFA controlling the money. The teams are going to basically control their own money. They had a financial backer, JP Morgan Chase, for $6 billion. Each team was supposed to have $350 million, in earnings. And then we're talking about TV deals. We're talking about a $4 billion TV deal. So, there's a whole lot of stuff at play, but automatically
I think the thing is that a lot of teams have suffered in the pandemic, especially lower league teams have suffered, and saying 15 clubs who are the sort of super rich clubs who are guaranteed entry, and everybody else has got to fight for the scraps at the bottom, the 5 places that they've given to the tiny teams, it feels wrong that, I mean, all teams have suffered, not just the big teams, and actually lower league teams have suffered more. So I think it was unfair to say that we've got like a guaranteed place and everybody else has got to sort of fight for the scraps. It felt wrong, and I'm glad that it's not carried on.
You have to consult the fans. The fans are what makes football, and
Exactly.
you can't just go behind the back and some rich businessman think he can do whatever he can. I understand they lost money, but everyone did. Everyone during the pandemic, in football or out of football, everyone lost money. The small clubs lost money, so you just can't just separate yourself and think, yeah, we are the best and we deserve this. No, and also Florentino Perez said that young people are not interested in football anymore. That they are losing interest. Well, if you see the protest is at Stamford Bridge, most of them were young people in the 20s, 30s. So I don't know.
I think as well, one of the reasons why a lot of young people, if it's true, aren't watching as much football, it's because it's on Sky and BT. You got to pay more money for it.
Yeah, that's kind of an issue.
When we were kids, it was on ITV and it was free to air, but it's not now. So having football sort of available for everybody, even if it's on YouTube or on free streams online, is a way to ensure fans watch more games and get more interested, not making it more exclusive and more sort of money based.
No, Perez even called it, this is going to be the future of football. UEFA Champions League is not even going to happen anymore. And this happened the day after they actually approved the new format, because in 2024 there's going to be a new format. They're no longer going to do groups. They're going to do groups with just to gain more matches. And actually, Tuchel was asked about that today, and he actually said that he doesn't really like the idea. If it's just guaranteeing more matches, it's going to be harder on them because they have to play Premiership, they have to play Champions League, they have to play the FA Cups, they have to play the international games. So it's going to be a lot more on their plate, and that's why Tuchel said that he doesn't really think it's a good idea to go ahead and change the format like that.
Yeah, Jurgen Klopp said the same thing. He said that he didn't like the idea of having to play, I think it's 4 more games instead of the 6 group games. And for me, I like the Champions League the way it is.
Yeah.
Sorry to be traditionalist, I like it the way it is. I like what needs to be changed. And it's like, if there's an invitation, to a team, again, it's going to be elitist. So it just feels like, what if UEFA is the big bad, like in The Flash at the end of the episode? UEFA is the big bad after all this, and is actually just paying them off, or is actually in on this whole thing.
Yeah, well, UEFA is also as bad as the others. They just want money for themselves. Yeah, I don't like the reforms as well. I think it's good as it is. I think more games will cause more tiredness, and some of the games will not be that interesting. So it's like the opposite of the Super League, where in the Super League you have all those best teams playing, and here you're gonna have teams that are just tired, and you don't have a nice performance from them.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I heard about the Super League that, I was talking to friends and stuff who follow football religiously, and they're like, okay, it's gonna be good for the first couple of weeks, and then 2 months later, Real Madrid, Barcelona are gonna play each other 10 times. Who's people are gonna get sick and tired of them?
Yeah.
Game every time. It's Real Madrid played Barca 10 times. Oh, Real Madrid play Bayern 10 times.
That's Scottish football.
Yeah, and I think we kind of started touching up on the Champions League.
Pete, can I say one more thing?
Okay, quickly, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say that if you've seen the results in the last week of these Super League teams, like Arsenal losing to Everton, I think it's Juventus, they didn't win. I think they drew 1-1. I think Liverpool drew with Leeds. Liverpool drew with Newcastle, they played terribly, conceding in the last minute. And the fan base was angry. Jurgen Klopp was angry. So I'm saying Man United as well drew with Leeds. So much for Super League teams. They can't even win against these.
Real Madrid drew 0-0 with Real Betis.
And so did Barcelona, I think. So yeah, before in the season. Yeah, I think it's good as it is.
Atletico
right now.
Madrid, they drew as well.
Yeah. I think it's good as it is right now. We don't need any changes. I like football as it is right now.
Yeah. How are you going to get a smaller team like Real Sociedad winning the Copa del Rey?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we started touching on the Champions League, and we have our Champions League expert, Elias. So maybe you can start us off of the game Real Madrid versus Chelsea.
Yeah, you're the expert.
It's definitely gonna be a tough match. Like you said, on one side you got Timo Werner, you got Alexander Pulisic going up against Eden Hazard, and Zidane's confirmed that he's past his injury, he's moved on, he's taking a proper time to recover. And actually, this is a really cool story. Hazard, before Champions League at the beginning of the year, said, "Hey, if I had a chance to play Chelsea, I think it'd be an amazing opportunity, to play against my former team, And now he's actually going to get that opportunity. He's actually been called to the lineup, so there's a good chance that he plays tomorrow. So how cool is it that Hazard plays Champions League against his former team? I think it's gonna be a good match. Honestly, can go either way. I feel Real Madrid has more weapons at their disposal than Chelsea, and I'm honestly picturing a rematch, Real Madrid City final. City's got them the last 2 times, so I think this is the year of Real Madrid getting its revenge.
Yeah, give us a prediction then of for the game.
Over 2 legs. Over 2 legs. I'm gonna say probably something like 4-2. I would say just
Real.
4-2 Real off the top of my head.
Mm.
PSG. I really don't know how they pulled it off against Bayern. That first game, it was snowing. The conditions were bad, and the fact they were able to go into Germany and get a win really surprised everybody.
Yeah, especially after Bayern had like 32 shots on the goal.
Exactly, and like Paris had like 2 or 3, I think, the entire game or something like that, and then
Yeah.
I feel like City's just gonna, like I said, City, they have Mahrez, they have Foden, they have De Bruyne, they have again too many weapons at their disposal. So I'm honestly thinking a Champions League final, Man City against Real Madrid.
What do you guys think, Chris?
Yeah, Man City, I think it's going to be just them against PSG. It's the battle of the two sort of big money clubs, isn't it? Man City against PSG. But both sides are sort of similar to a lesser extent, sort of PSG, but they've always done well in the national leagues, but not really in Europe, where Man City is only the second time in the Champions League semi-finals, whereas in the domestic leagues, they've, dominated the last sort of 5-6 years. So I can't expect them actually to do too well. I can see PSG going through. Over 2 legs, I'd say 3-2. I think it'll be sort of fairly close in that tie. But I agree with Elias that I think Real Madrid will come through against Chelsea. They haven't really got the sort of the panache Chelsea to sort of get through against a top side. Real Madrid, I'm sure against Liverpool, that they've got the experience and the ability to get past sort of decent teams like that. So Real Madrid against PSG final is what I predict, I think. What about you, James? What do you think?
Interesting from you guys. I think Chelsea have a chance, but I do think Real Madrid will pull through. So I'm going to say Real Madrid will nick it 2-1 an aggregate. And I think the first match will be close, and I think Real Madrid will nick it. Like you say, Real Madrid have that aura about them, having won the Champions League 13 times, record amount. And I'm surprised they didn't pay the competition more respect to just be like, we're making our own competition, that kind of thing. But yeah, they've got that fear factor. And I think that Chelsea will have their eye on the FA Cup final, as well as, trying to get the top 4, which I think they'll get, sadly, for Liverpool fans. And yeah, I think that their eyes are on the FA Cup against Leicester City. So I think Real will edge it.
Am I wrong to say that Chelsea was the Cinderella story of the UEFA Champions League, meaning that no one expected them to get that far?
They had an easy draw. They had Porto, man. Come on. Porto.
Yeah, but I like how Chelsea is playing. They're playing interesting football. But yeah, I was actually thinking when you guys were giving your predictions and your views on Chelsea, and I was thinking, should I give it to Chelsea? But then they lost against Porto in the second leg at home. Yeah, I see Real Madrid winning that game 3-2 on aggregate. 3-2 on aggregate. I think they have a good defense, but Real Madrid is a tough team to be tested against. And yeah. In terms of the other game, the PSG City, I think will clinch it, and it will be an interesting final. City Real Madrid.
Wait, Pete, what's your prediction for the Real Chelsea game?
3-2 on aggregate.
To Real.
Yeah, for Real, yeah.
Okay. And the PSG Man City?
2-1 City.
Why?
I think PSG in both games against Bayern, just a bit more lucky. They have more individualistic characters like Neymar and Mbappe. But I think City, if they can work as a team, they have a strong squad. And Pep Guardiola is definitely hungry for Champions League with City, and I think he can do it this year.
See, I think PSG will beat them, and I hope PSG beat them. So I'm going to say, again, sounds boring, but I'm going to say 2-1, and I think Mbappe will fire them to the final.
Mbappe,
I actually think that PSG will win it this year. With Pochettino. Yeah. Pochettino's sick. He's a manager.
He's a great manager.
Yeah, he's taking good care of the team. Yeah, so I say in City probably. James saying PSG. What about you, Chris and Elias?
I'll go, Chris. Like I said, I'm calling City on this one. City, I'm going to say City in a tight one, 3-2. I think that Mahrez is just going to have a party out there, and he's going to do a good job. And then I think that, like I said, I think they have more weapons than PSG does. PSG relies a lot on Mbappe and Neymar, and that might be their downfall. And I'm hoping, like I said, Real Madrid City final, and then hopefully I'll have the opportunity to travel to cover the game.
Yeah, I think PSG will come through against Man City 3-2 on aggregate, I'd say. Then that'll leave the final PSG against Real. James might be right. PSG under Poch can take a win. So perhaps I'd say they're going to win the tournament, but I think they'll get through against City. But I guess we'll see next week, and we can sort of review our predictions and see who was right, if anybody.
Yeah. Nobody's saying an all-English final. No one's saying that.
Not again, surely. With the third time.
Yeah, but I think we discussed all the topics in kind of in good detail, and I want to thank our guest Elias for coming up today. Our first guest, so definitely going to remember that.
Yeah, thanks, Elias.
Hopefully, you can join us someday as well in the future.
I really appreciate the opportunity, guys. And if you guys ever want me back, I'm more than happy to do it.
Thank you again, Elias, for coming up. So next week we're going to talk about, of course, Premier League and the race to top four who will go into the Champions League. We will also talk about the Champions League, of course, and our team of the week next week is Arsenal. So that's going to be interesting. Thank you guys for tuning in today, and see you guys next week.
See you next week. Bye-bye.